joining us.
Yeah, you want me to start?
Whenever everyone's ready. Whoever wants to come up.
Yeah, we just all stay.
And show some strong unity here. We need.
Yep. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. First of all, I'd like to welcome Congressman and his staff and everybody else who showed up to him in this difficult weather. Thank you very much. I just want to go a little bit on this place itself. This Gurdwara is found 50 years ago, and it has been the first Gurdwara in New Jersey. And this Gurdwara is the foundation of our community here. So we've been part of this, and in some another way, so many people from New Jersey and New York has been part of this Gurdwara. At the same time, we're commemorating the 350th martyrdom anniversary of the 9th Sikh Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, who courageously challenged the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb and his policy of forced conversion of Indian population to Islam. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji traveled to Delhi on foot over 6 months, spreading his message of love and devotion to God and the fundamental freedom of practice one's faith by choice. Despite extreme torture and relentless intimidation, he stood unwavering in truth and the rightness, and attained the martyrdom on November 11, 1675. So we're commemorating his 350th anniversary of martyrdom of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, which is very dear to the Sikh community, and they're doing it globally. Despite the torture that they say, that he has like three of his accomplices, his disciples, Bhai Mati Das, Bhai Sati Das, and Bhai Dayala Ji, who were also been martyrdom, attained the martyrdom at the same time. Let's talk about the current bill right now. So it is our privilege and it is our honor that we're announcing this at the Gurdwara at this time, to safeguard the civil rights and religious freedoms granted under the Constitution of the United States. It's important for the Congress to affirm its commitment to confronting hate, discrimination, and violence directed at religious minorities. Sikh Americans who have contributed to the social, economic, and civil life of this nation for over a century continue to face persistent and disproportionate targeting based on hatred toward faith, identity, and visible religious expression. Act of anti-Sikh hate not only undermine the safety and dignity of Sikh community, but also threaten the foundational American principle of equality, pluralism, and freedom of religion. As part of this ongoing effort, our Congressman Josh Gottheimer and Congressman David Valdeo have introduced a bill in U.S. House of Representatives that would specifically protect the Sikh community from the challenges mentioned earlier. On behalf of the Sikh community, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Congressman Josh Gottheimer and Congressman David Valdeo for introducing this important bill in the 119th State Congress. Please join me to welcome Congressman Josh Gottheimer.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I think we're going to do the pledge, right? Pledge of Allegiance.
Yep.
You're going to lead us in the pledge?
Sure.
Where's the flag? Here we go.
Yeah. Oh,
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I would like to ask Congressman Josh Gottheimer to take over now. And
Am I in charge? I know there's
yeah.
some other people who are going to speak here.
yeah, so
dare sing?
you want me to call them?
Please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
It's your house.
Yeah, I can do that. All
It's your
righty.
Gurdwara. I'm just a guest.
All righty. So our first speaker is Aman Sira from Seldef.
Yep.
Yeah.
Next one.
Yeah, next No, next, oh, sorry, here's.
Bhupinder Singh from Sikh Alliance.
Thank you, Sardar Yadvinder Singh ji. I'm Bhupinder Singh, Outreach Lead for Sikh Youth Alliance. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Good evening to all. I would like to express my profound gratitude to our Sangat for their presence, and most importantly to the Gurdwara management, whose tireless efforts were instrumental in organizing this pivotal press conference. I must also recognize the visionary leadership of Congressman Josh Gottheimer and Congressman David Valadao. By championing this legislation, he has acted as a courageous vanguard for civil rights, transforming a shared vision into a legislative reality that gives our community a voice in the halls of the Congress. We are also grateful to the staff for their diligent coordination of this introduction. Finally, I want to thank the members of the press for being here today to ensure this message of justice reaches the wider public. For far too long, the Sikh community has lived in the shadow of prejudice, violence, and systemic exclusion, where our very own identity and faith has been treated as a target. From our workplaces to our streets, our people has been endured a relentless tide of harassment and hate-fueled attacks that all often go unrecognized, unaddressed, and tragically underreported. Since 9/11, Sikh Americans has faced a unique and disproportionate burden of hate crime. Our sacred articles of faith and visible identity, the turban, mustache, and beard, has been maliciously conflated with extremist ideologies that have nothing to do with us. We face a unique struggle. It is marked by religious bias and increasingly by the dangerous threat of transnational repression. This involves sophisticated attempts by the foreign actors to harass, intimidate, and silence Sikh voices, even here on the American soil, including threats to the life of elected Sikh officials in public offices and Sikh activists who voice their opinion on civil and political rights. It is a direct assault on our fundamental rights and our security as Americans. Today we declare with one collective voice, this must stop now. Addressing these complex challenges require a federal framework that clearly defines our struggle. The greatest hurdle to justice has been the lack of a standardized, actionable definition of anti-Sikh hate and discrimination. This bill, initially drafted by Sikh Youth Alliance at the state level, took its federal form through meaningful conversations with leading national Sikh organizations, establishing that necessary framework. We have worked shoulder to shoulder with these national partners and Congressman Gottheimer's legislation team to ensure the language of the bill reflects the unified resolve of our community. Quoting the bill, Sikhs in the United States endure persistent discrimination, harassment, and violence in their daily lives, facing a unique combination of hate violence, prejudice, religious discrimination, and transnational repression. Addressing this requires a dedicated task force focused specifically on combating anti-Sikh hate and discrimination in all its forms. By establishing a definition, this legislation ensures that bias incidents are accurately recorded and never again misclassified or ignored. This bill sends an unequivocal message. Hate has no place here. It is an act of solidarity with every group that has been targeted by prejudice. I call upon all the members of the Congress to stand for justice and pass this vital legislation without delay so that every individual, regardless of their faith or appearance, can live without fear. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gasoline Kaur.
Hanji, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Jasleen Kaur, and I'm here from SALDEF, the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund, the oldest Sikh civil rights organization dedicated to advancing the justice of Sikh Americans in the United States. I want to first thank Representative Gottheimer and his wonderful staff, the Glen Rock Gurdwara Sahib, and the Sikh Youth Alliance for your tireless advocacy for the Sikh community across this country and, of course, in the state of New Jersey. We have exciting work ahead of us to ensure the safety and dignity of Sikh Americans across the country. Our history in the United States is full of growth, innovation, and tremendous strides for justice and equality. However, we find ourselves at a challenging crossroads, one where Sikhs are more visible than ever, yet under an immense level of scrutiny and discrimination. It has escalated to instances of significant violence and hate, from the brutality of post-9/11 hate to the tragedy of mass shootings, as we've seen in different parts of our country. As Senior Outreach Manager of SALDEF, I hear directly from community members every single day who are afraid of reporting hate crimes out of fear. Our trucking communities have been targeted, and it has a chilling effect on our Sikh workforce. Our outreach at SALDEF to understand the threat of transnational repression and targeting of our immigrant communities has revealed just how vulnerable Sikh Americans are. But despite these challenges, we maintain the spirit of Sarbat Tapala in advocating for the safety and dignity of all Americans. That's why we applaud Representative Gottheimer for taking this historic step to addressing decades of underreported instances of anti-Sikh hate. Establishing this task force on anti-Sikh discrimination will collect critical data about the offenses, and our neighbors become educated about these offenses as well. It is a step towards not only making Sikh Americans more visible, but also safer and more supported. We all deserve basic safety and respect. And at SALDEF, we understand our duty to uphold social justice and religious freedom for all Americans. We will continue to advocate for our shared goals alongside all of our partners here today in the spirit of Chardikala to ensure Sikhs everywhere are protected. Thank you so much for all of our united advocacy, and we look forward to working together.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Of course, thank you so much.
I'd like to call Dr. Richa Kaur from Sikh Coalition.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Richa Kaur, and I, along with my family, call New Jersey home. We also consider Gurdwaras across the state to be our home Sangats. I'm also grateful to serve my Sangat, my community, nationally in my role as the Managing Director of Education and Community Development at the Sikh Coalition. Here in this great state of New Jersey, just across the river from the site of the Twin Towers, we are all deeply aware of the impact of hate and discrimination that Sikhs have faced, particularly in the wake of 9/11, but also more recently. The Sikh Coalition was formed in response to these horrific attacks on our Sangat members, driven by anti-Sikh bias, broader xenophobia and white supremacy, as well as the false conflation of Sikh articles of faith such as turbans and unshorn beards. For nearly 25 years, our organization has been on the front lines, providing free legal aid and leading advocacy and education efforts on behalf of Sikh Sangat members, community members who have experienced bigotry, bias, and hate. While I am very grateful to live in a state where Sikhs are highly visible in both everyday life and public service, we know that nationwide Sikhs remain disproportionately likely to experience hate than the average American. We're also living through a period in which hateful rhetoric and hate crimes against all minority communities are on the rise. By creating a task force focused on naming, documenting, and preventing hate crimes and other forms of discrimination against Sikhs, this bill takes an important step towards accountability, prevention, and ensuring that Sikh communities can live and worship safely without fear. On behalf of our team at the Sikh Coalition, I'm really grateful to Congressman Gottheimer and his team, as well as local and national Sikh organizations, for championing the safety of Sikhs, Gurdwaras, and Sangats. We remain ready to partner, consult, and support the implementation of efforts that meaningfully protect our communities and uphold our shared values of equity, dignity, and justice. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Before I invite Congressman Gottheimer, I would like to recognize a few individuals here, members of New Jersey Gurdwara Council. They are here. And we have a special guest, Dr. Pritpal Singh, who represents Sikh Congressional Caucus, and he's one of the founders of it. So thank you, Doctor, for coming all the way. So it's like two parts which are very critical to this bill, which we think our focus is going to be. One is obviously the hate against the Sikh Americans, and the second is the transnational repression. I was asked yesterday, is there real transnational repression? And I know the people who are facing that and that threat today, and some of them are in this room right now. So these threats are real and imminent. And we have seen those in different news articles and all that. And we need to work on this to make sure that the activists here has the freedom to speech, freedom to live, and freedom to exercise their rights. So this bill is very critical for us, and we hope that we can start working on this as soon as the new Congress session opens. And with this, I would like to invite you to please address the
Thank you.
press conference.
Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is an honor to be here. We'll see so many friends and people I've known for a very long time, and I've been coming here for years. So thank you for welcoming me back in this Gurdwara, and it's good to see so many friends. I think Yogi was originally the first one to take me here, so thank you very much to you and to Balpreet. And Yadavinder, we've known each other a very long time. I do want to thank a few of the phenomenal organizations, Mr. Singh from the Sikh Youth Alliance. Thank you for New Jersey. Such a phenomenally important organization. Also, so many people came together to help us do this today and to get here. And I know you've heard from them, but I think it's very, very, very important. In the education and community development from the Sikh Coalition, Dr. Kaur, thank you so much. And Ms. Singh from the Sikh Coalition State Policy Manager, the Sikh Coalition Community Development Manager as well as Jocelyn from the Sikh American Legal Defense and Education Fund. Thank you so much to all of you. Seriously, thank you so much for being here today. And I will tell you, I would not be standing here without, this was a product of a huge cooperative team effort that, believe it or not, came out of a meeting I had in Central Jersey at a Gurdwara. We were sitting around having a conversation, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody brought up, was it you? Did you initially bring it up?
Yes.
At that meeting?
Yes.
So you get all the credit. But we were talking in the meeting, you said we're doing this in the States, right?
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we do this federally?
Yes.
And that was that. See how this works? So those roundtables that you go to and sometimes think, I don't want to go to a roundtable and talk to some politicians, it actually works. So please keep having these conversations, because through education and shining a light on where the gaps are and what we need to do as a community and as a country, that's how you start this move to actually get something across the finish line to protect Sikh Americans and to protect all Americans. Right? It's all a product of work and collaboration. So thank you for the teamwork. And even though this place might blow over because of the wind and the rain, we will be standing here strong with the warriors. And I know you'll protect me. So I know that. Thank you all for getting here in the rain on a Friday. It means a lot to me. I would have been here sooner, but we've been in Washington fighting for health care, among other things. So I appreciate you being patient. You know, I know that Sikh Gurdwara of Glenrock does so much good. I've been here for its good every day through the pandemic, you name it, whether it's praying or reflecting or donating food to help others in need. I know that's such an important part of the culture here and across the country and around the world. So I applaud every member for their dedication to the community here in my district, but also around the country and flying in, and whether you're talking about California or Minnesota or here. The community is so strong. The founder of Sikhism, Guru Nanak, taught his followers to remember God, to oppose artificially created divisions and discrimination, and to promote goodwill for all. And I think those are lessons that we would really benefit from in many, many parts of this country these days, as we face a terrifying rise in hate and bias and intolerance against religious and ethnic minorities, both here and abroad. We must remember those teachings from Guru Nanak and remember what can bring us together, what does bring us together as Americans. You know, while, and I just realized I'm not wearing my congressional pin right now, and I should be, but at the same time, when I think of and I should put my pin on, I took it off because I actually picked this up from the dry cleaner. But you know, I'm very lucky to carry this pin and to wear it because I get to represent you all in the United States Congress. And, you know, right now there's no Sikh American in the Congress. But I consider, if it's not too much, I consider myself an honorary. Because when I got to Congress, one of the first things I did when I put this pin on the first time, one of the first things I did was meet with people from the Sikh community. I remember Yogi and Balpreet and our former Attorney General, who I believe is also a member of this Gurdwara, stressed to me how important it was that we carry the voice of the Sikh community in the Congress, and that I be a champion of the Sikh community. And not just because I represent a significant community compared to the country, but because of the teachings and because of the values. And the more I learned and the more I read, because I took the time to get educated. But let's be honest, most Americans are not educated. They don't understand. Now, I don't think they're reflexively filled with hate, but I think that they see somebody who doesn't look like themselves and think, you know, they think that you're different, and they just don't know. And instead of sometimes asking the questions that they should to get smarter, especially young people, what do? They say, well, it doesn't look like me, and whether you're in a school here in Upper Saddle River or here in Glen Rock or somewhere else in the country, they decide to say, well, if they're not like me, there must be something wrong with them. And that's what happens far too often. By the way, against lots of people who don't look like you, right? When someone doesn't look like you, you say, I don't know how to handle that. And I think as a country, if we can actually take the time to educate people and get people to actually learn, whether that's in a public school or any other setting, you'd become like me and say, oh, wow, the amount that I respect the Sikh community and the way I look up to them, right, it's so significant, the respect I have for the Sikh community, because of what you stand for, because of the values, because of what you do every day, because of your history, right? And I learned, I think, from Yogi about, you know, with turban and strength, the warrior is going to get my back, and go through each item. And you I think, taught me about everything from the sword, the bracelet, like each of these people, right? Each to understand. And the more I understand, and the more I understood, the more I wanted others to understand. So when I see these instances of discrimination and hate, it breaks my heart, just like it breaks yours. It is a very painful thing. And I can't imagine what you go through on a daily basis because of that ignorance. And how much hate doesn't get reported, as I think you just mentioned, right? It just doesn't get reported. Because people's like, it's better to not rock the boat, right? To keep quiet. Oh, well, it is what it is. Well, it shouldn't be, it is what it is. I'm sorry, it shouldn't be. Right. And our job today is to begin and to add to the fight and to fight back. So how do we do it? You know, well, you know, very few don't know, the word Sikh means learner. So that's part of it. Those within the community are dedicated to becoming better versions of themselves every day and standing up for those ideas of love, equality, and service. So part of that is imbuing that into the community. Part of it's doing what you do every day, and such a part of, in our state, we see it strong with more than 100,000 Sikhs around the state of New Jersey that are doing good work all over the place. But the hate is still there, and we should look out for one another, and that's what this is about. That's what a Jersey value is about. We look out for our friends and our neighbors. And I know you're from California, but in Jersey, can't speak to California, we look out for each other in Jersey. You mess with someone from Jersey, we're going to mess with you back, because there's no place for hate or intolerance here. So we're going to stand up and protect you and look out for one another. I don't care if you're Christian, Jew, Muslim. We should not remain silent. When our Sikh brothers, sisters are attacked day in and day out, we've got to stand up. And there's been an enormous uptick in violence and threats against Sikhs. Even in our schools where our young children go to learn and grow, Sikh students are seeing higher rates of bullying than they did a decade ago. It's worse, not better. Part of that you kind of understand, because if you look at the world and you look at social media and you look at cable news, you look what goes on and the way people treat one another these days. You can understand why those numbers are going up. Sikhs are the third most targeted religious group in the country. 153 attacks last year alone. In August, a 70-year-old Sikh man was brutally beaten in Los Angeles with a golf club while walking the street. We can't forget the senseless Oak Creek massacre, which claimed 6 lives, or the Indianapolis FedEx attack just 4 years ago, killing 8 people, including 4 Sikh Americans. Here in Jersey, the community has been a target of hate. A Sikh student at Gloucester County Institute of Technology was forced to homeschool after they were repeatedly targeted with racial slurs and called a terrorist by their classmates. A student at Steinhardt High School in Hamilton was also bullied by her classmates just because of her long hair. In 2022, a Texas man repeatedly called one of our local Sikh nonprofits here in New Jersey, leaving multiple voicemails saying he would hunt down the workers with razors, shave their heads, and kill them. Then there are horrible crimes that don't show up in the news. I hear from in these roundtables I've had here and other places. I hear about the problems. I've talked to so many of the groups, including the Sikh Coalition, Sikh American Legal Defense Fund, an Education Fund, the New Jersey Sikh Gurdwara Council, and the New Jersey Sikh Youth Alliance, who are here, and heard story after story. Since 9/11, anti-Sikh hate has been on the rise simply because of how you look, having to watch your back while crossing the street. Children are in fear going to school. It's disgusting, and it's un-American. But also hearing your strength and perseverance, to me, gives me great hope, because you have not lost faith. You have not backed down. You stand here proudly, as you should, the way Guru Nanak teaches you to, pursuing the values you hold dear. Sikh are warriors, as the 10th Guru formed the Khalsa in 1699 to protect religious freedoms. That's a tradition that continues today with the U.S. military, proudly having hundreds of Sikh warriors who have served our country. But with the exception of the U.S. Army and the U.S. Air Force, the military still largely bans Sikhs from serving with turbans, unshorn hair, and unshorn beards. Unfortunately, this administration is only making the chance for Sikhs to serve more difficult. That's why, as a member of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus, I proudly joined a congressional effort calling for a pause on these discriminatory new beard guidelines so that religious accommodations for facial hair for troops are respected, as they should be. As the 10th Guru Gobind Singh said, "I will not flee from the field of battle. I will face the enemy with courage." So we are here today in that effort, in the sign of courage and that strength, to join together as one community and honor the core ideas that unite us all. Like my belief in our country, our diversity remains our greatest strength. We should celebrate it and stand united against all forms of hatred. That's why I'm introducing new federal legislation to protect that strength and to help ensure that instead of our Sikh community having to watch your own backs, together we will watch each other's. The Bipartisan Sikh American Anti-Discrimination Act, which I am leading with Congressman David Valadao from California, will create the first federal task force on anti-Sikh discrimination at the Department of Justice. This will put a specialized cop on the beat, ensuring we track, report, and respond to acts of hate, violence, and discrimination that too many have been forced to face in the Sikh community. Next, this critical legislation that's bipartisan will help create a definition of anti-Sikh hate to better ensure we can immediately respond wherever it may rear its ugly head. No more uncertainties and bureaucracies delaying help. We will make it clear that intolerance against the Sikh community will not be tolerated. Not in this country, not in our state, not in our community, not in this Gurdwara. This bill also goes one step further. With so much ignorance driving anti-Sikh discrimination, education must be part of the solution. So our bipartisan legislation will also help develop an educational program to be used across our local and federal law enforcement agencies, elementary schools, and college campuses to inform everyone about the dangers of anti-Sikh hate and discrimination. We know that the groups I'm standing here in solidarity with today have been hard at work ensuring that schools across the country teach about Sikhism. This bill will take a big step in the right direction. And finally, the federal task force will be required to draft an annual report to the United States Congress to show where we are seeing hate crimes against Sikhs, the ongoing trends in anti-Sikh threats, and to outline what is being done to combat anti-Sikh hate and discrimination across the United States. Not only that, but the task force will be required to work with our incredible Sikh community and Sikh organizations, including those here today, and publish their findings in Punjabi so that everyone in the community can also see this information. Only by working together can the important input of our communities can we fully understand and address this issue. And as always, I will continue doing my job on behalf of the Sikh community here in Jersey as a very proud member of the Bipartisan American Sikh Congressional Caucus and the House Democratic Faith Working Group. We've always enjoyed spending time with our communities in these Gurdwaras, including here in Glen Rock. I will continue doing that. I will continue fighting for all the things we talked about today. I proudly sponsored a bipartisan House resolution recognizing the historical, cultural, and religious significance of Sikh Americans and the incredible contributions your community has made. I will make that even louder. We must do even more, because only through this education, only through this knowledge, can we make sure that our community is stronger and stand up against hate. I will tell you, as co-chair of the Bipartisan Law Enforcement Caucus, I will continue to make sure our towns and first responders have the resources they need to protect you and to protect all of our communities. And I'm very proud to work to fight for more resources for the nonprofit security grant program to help get our synagogues, churches, mosques, and temples and Gurdwaras the resources they need to protect themselves against threats and violence. Including in 2023, I proudly helped secure $150,000 through the nonprofit security grant for this Gurdwara for physical security enhancements to keep the community safe from terrorist attacks and other domestic threats. Because let's face it, like everyone, we face more threats in our country than ever before. We need to stand strong and look out for each other. If we allow hatred, bigotry, and intolerance to go unchecked, then we risk abandoning the very principles upon which our country was founded. So today, let's reaffirm that commitment to promoting religious freedom and tolerance, and to working toward a world where all people are free to practice their faith without fear or discrimination, and overcome the temptation to retreat to our own corners and communities, because threats against any one group are threats against all of us. And spread the message of unity and tolerance, and remember, that's what brings us together in the greatest country in the world. If we do that and work together and stand together, I know our best days will always be ahead of us.